There is a wall, not a smart wall, not a wall connected to a thermostat or a heat pump or a utility grid. A wall made of concrete, glass, and black paint. It heats your home through winter without burning a single cubic foot of gas. It cools your home through summer without drawing a single watt of electricity. It requires no filter changes, no technician visits, no monthly subscription, and no moving parts of any kind. It has no parts that can break because it has no parts at all. You build it once, and it works for the entire lifespan of the structure, which in the case of concrete and glass means centuries. This wall was tested by the United States Department of Energy, validated by Los Alamos National Laboratory, installed in thousands of homes across 3 continents, published in hundreds of peer-reviewed engineering papers. And then, between the oil price collapse of the early 1980s and the aggressive lobbying campaign that followed, it was quietly removed from architecture school curricula, written out of building codes, and erased from the public conversation so completely that today most architects graduate without ever hearing the name of the man who invented it. The $240 billion global HVAC industry generates every dollar of that revenue from one single premise: that your comfort depends on their machines. A wall that makes their machines unnecessary is not a competitor. It is an extinction-level threat, and they treated it accordingly. This is the story of the Trombe wall, the passive heating and cooling system that ancient Rome, Persia, and China all discovered independently, that a French engineer perfected in 1967, that the United States government proved works, and that the heating industry buried before your parents finished paying off their first furnace. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If these stories matter to you, the subscribe button and the bell are the best way to make sure this knowledge survives. This is where we open the vaults the industry welded shut. To understand what this wall does, you need to understand something that every civilization before the industrial era knew instinctively. Mass stores heat. Dense material absorbs thermal energy slowly and releases it slowly. A thick stone wall facing the sun in the morning is still warm at midnight. That is not a theory. That is thermodynamics, and it is the oldest heating technology in human history. Roman architects in the 1st century designed south-facing stone walls specifically to absorb solar energy during daylight hours and radiate it inward through the night. Persian engineers built massive adobe structures across the desert, whose walls absorbed brutal afternoon heat and released it gradually through freezing desert nights, keeping interior temperatures stable without fire. In northern China, the Kang system embedded heated mass into walls and sleeping platforms to carry warmth through Mongolian winters on a fraction of the fuel a conventional fire would require. These were not primitive approximations of comfort. They were sophisticated engineering solutions that kept people alive in extreme climates for centuries, and they all operated on identical physics. Then, in 1967, a French engineer named Félix Trombe was working at a solar energy research station in the Pyrenees Mountains when he formalized and extended what every ancient builder had already understood by instinct. Trombe was asking a question that sounds almost offensive in its simplicity. The sun delivers more energy to the surface of the Earth in a single hour than all of human civilization consumes in an entire year. Why are we burning fossil fuel to heat buildings? Working with architect Jacques Michel, Trombe designed a system of extraordinary elegance. A south-facing exterior wall built from dense concrete or masonry between 8 and 16 inches thick. The exterior surface painted matte black to maximize solar absorption. A single sheet of tempered glass mounted 4 inches in front of that wall surface, sealed at the edges, creating a trapped air gap between the glass and the dark wall. 2 rows of vents cut through the wall itself, 1 row near the floor and 1 near the ceiling, each fitted with simple operable dampers. That is the complete system. No wiring, no pump, no compressor, no refrigerant, no filter, no fuel line, no thermostat, no warranty card, and no service contract. Here is what happens when the sun rises. Light passes through the glass and strikes the dark wall. The wall absorbs up to 95% of that incoming solar radiation and converts it directly to heat. The air trapped in the gap between the glass and the wall begins to rise as it heats, reaching temperatures above 60 degrees Celsius on a clear winter day. That superheated air flows through the upper vents into the living space. Cooler room air drops down and enters the gap through the lower vents to replace it. A continuous convection loop runs all day without a single moving part or a single watt of electricity to drive it. But the convection loop is only the first half of what this wall does. The concrete itself absorbs thermal energy throughout the day, storing it the way a battery stores electrical charge. After sunset, when outdoor temperatures fall, the wall begins releasing that stored heat inward, slowly, steadily, without any input. 8 to 12 hours of radiant warmth delivered into the living space through the night by nothing more than physics and mass. Before I continue, I need to stop and tell you something important. This video is only the surface of what the industry has hidden from you. I spent months collecting everything they buried into one place. Earth battery blueprints that generate free electricity from scrap copper wire and wet soil. Water purification methods that engineers tested in field conditions and could not believe actually worked. Wood restoration formulas suppressed since 1939 that rebuild damaged timber from the inside out. Rust conversion chemistry that the U.S. military deployed across 3 war theaters in 1943 and that the auto industry rebranded at a 1,500% markup. Food preservation methods that keep emergency supplies viable for decades without refrigeration. All of it is inside the complete forbidden camping vault. Over 10 guides in one place. No filler, every page built for immediate action. The link is in the description right now. But stay here. Because what the Department of Energy found when they tested this wall is the part the HVAC industry needs you to never read. During the oil crisis of the 1970s, when energy costs collapsed the American economy and governments across the developed world were desperate for alternatives, the United States Department of Energy funded an extensive research program into passive solar building systems. Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico constructed and instrumented dozens of Trombe wall prototypes and measured their performance across multiple full heating seasons under rigorous controlled conditions. The results were published. They are a matter of public record. A properly designed Trombe wall provides between 30 and 50% of a building's total annual heating requirement in temperate climates. In high solar regions like the American Southwest, that number climbs to 70%. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory published findings showing that Trombe wall homes in Albuquerque reduced annual heating energy consumption by 47% compared to identical homes built with conventional insulated walls. Not 5%, not 15%. 47% of your heating bill eliminated by a wall that costs between $500 and $1,500 to build and requires $0 per year to operate. Researchers at the Indian Institute of Technology tested the summer cooling mode of the same system in 2015. By opening exterior vents at night to chill the mass wall and closing them during the day to allow the cooled wall to absorb heat from the interior, they measured indoor temperature reductions of 6 to 8 degrees Celsius during peak summer heat without any electrical input. The University of Sheffield demonstrated that incorporating phase change materials into the wall assembly increases thermal storage capacity by 40%. Scientists at MIT calculated that if just 10% of American homes incorporated Trombe walls, national heating energy consumption would fall by over 12 billion kilowatt hours per year. The knowledge exists. The science is not in dispute. The engineering is not complicated. And then oil prices collapsed in 1983, and every dollar of government research funding disappeared overnight.